I have always been drawn to the stories that linger on the edge of the unknown, the ones that make your skin crawl and your heart race. I run a YouTube channel where I unravel true horror stories, tales of real people caught in moments so terrifying they defy explanation. Most of the time, I'm safe behind my microphone, weaving narratives from the comfort of my desk. But some stories hit harder, sinking into your bones like a cold tide. This is one of those. It's the story of Tom and Eileen Lonergan, a couple who vanished in 1998, left behind in the vast, unforgiving waters of the Great Barrier Reef. Inspired by their tragic disappearance, this is Lost in the Ocean, the scuba divers left behind, a tale of beauty turned to terror, of a dream vacation that became a nightmare no one could wake from. I first stumbled across the Lonergan story while researching for my channel. I was looking for cases that weren't just creepy, but carried a weight, a realness that made you question the fragility of life. The headline caught me. American couple abandoned at sea during Great Barrier Reef dive. It sounded like something out of a horror movie, but it was real. Tom and Eileen Lonergan, two experienced divers from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, set out on January 25, 1998, for what should have been a thrilling day, exploring one of the world's natural wonders. Instead, they were left behind, stranded in the Coral Sea, with no boat, no rescue, and no hope. Their story inspired the 2003 film Open Water, but the reality is far scarier than any Hollywood script. No one knows exactly what happened to them, but the clues they left behind paint a picture so haunting, it's kept me awake for weeks. Let me take you back to that day, through their eyes and into the horror that unfolded. Picture this. It's a bright Sunday morning in Port Douglas, Queensland, Australia. The air is warm, salty, alive with the promise of adventure. Tom Lonergan, 33, and his wife Eileen, 28, are standing on the dock, their diving gear slung over their shoulders, their faces lit with excitement. They're a young couple, deeply in love, bound by a shared passion for exploration. Both graduates of Louisiana State University, they met in college, where Eileen, already an avid scuba diver, introduced Tom to the underwater world. They married in 1988, and their life together was one of purpose. 2 years with the Peace Corps in Tuvalu, followed by work in Fiji, teaching and serving communities far from home. Now, on their way back to the US, they've stopped in Australia for one last adventure, diving the Great Barrier Reef, the largest coral reef system in the world, a kaleidoscope of color and life beneath the waves. It's a bucket list trip, the kind of experience you dream about. They're ready, their tanks checked, their wetsuits snug, their hearts racing with anticipation. The boat they're boarding is the MV Outer Edge, a 26-passenger dive charter operated by a local company. The skipper, Jeffrey Jack Nairn, is a seasoned operator, and the crew is bustling, preparing for a day of dives at St. Crispin's Reef, about 40 miles off the coast. The reef is a diver's paradise, a sprawling underwater city of coral towers, vibrant fish, and hidden caves. Tom and Eileen are among 24 other passengers, a mix of novices and veterans, all eager to plunge into the Coral Sea. The boat cuts through the waves, the coastline fading behind them, until they're surrounded by nothing but blue. An endless expanse of ocean stretching to the horizon. The sun beats down, the water sparkles, and for a moment, everything is perfect. The plan is simple. 3 dives throughout the day, each one a chance to explore a different part of the reef. Tom and Eileen are experienced, confident in their skills. They've dived in challenging conditions before, navigated strong currents, and explored depths most would shy away from. As the boat anchors at St. Crispin's, the passengers gear up, clipping on weight belts, securing buoyancy vests, and checking their air tanks. Tom and Eileen exchange a smile, a silent promise to share this moment. They slip into the water, the cool embrace of the sea swallowing them as they descend. Below, the reef is alive, coral in every shade of pink, purple and green, fish darting like living jewels, the faint hum of the ocean filling their ears. For 40 minutes, they're weightless, free, lost in the beauty of a world most people never see. But something goes wrong. The details are murky, pieced together later from witness accounts and an inquest that shook the diving industry. The Outer Edge crew is supposed to log every diver in and out of the water, conducting head counts to ensure no one is left behind. Regulations require manifests, group assignments based on experience, and checks of air levels and dive depths. But that day, the system fails. Tom and Eileen, perhaps lingering a little longer to marvel at a school of barracuda or a hidden coral grotto, don't return to the boat on time. The crew, distracted by the chaos of 26 passengers, the serving of snacks, and the hum of post-dive chatter, doesn't notice. A head count is taken, but it's sloppy. 2 other passengers jump into the water for a quick swim, and someone, maybe a crew member, maybe Nairn himself, assumes they're Tom and Eileen, adjusting the count to 26. The whistle blows, the engine roars, and the outer edge pulls away, leaving the couple behind. Imagine surfacing from that dive, your lungs burning, your body tingling with the thrill of what you've just seen. You break through the water, expecting to see the boat bobbing nearby, the crew waving you over. But there's nothing, just an empty horizon, the sea stretching out in every direction, a perfect, terrifying blue. Tom and Eileen tread water, their fins kicking against the current, their eyes scanning for any sign of the outer edge. At first, there's confusion. Maybe the boat drifted. Maybe it's behind a swell. They shout, their voices swallowed by the wind. They wave their arms, but there's no one to see. The sun is high, blazing down, and the reality creeps in like a slow poison. They've been abandoned. I can't stop thinking about that moment, the way hope must have flickered in their chests, only to be crushed by the weight of the ocean. Tom, ever the optimist, might have said, "They'll come back. They have to." Eileen, practical and fierce, might have nodded, but her eyes would have betrayed her fear. They are experienced divers, trained to stay calm, to conserve energy. They check their gear, buoyancy vests to keep them afloat, air tanks with a little reserve, a dive slate for underwater communication. They tie themselves together with an empty dive belt, a lifeline to stay close in the swelling sea. The reef is below them, but it's too deep to swim back to, and the nearest pontoons, floating platforms for dive boats, are 2 to 3 kilometers away, a grueling distance in open water. They decide to wait, to float, to believe that someone will notice their absence. Hours pass. The sun climbs higher, its heat relentless, burning their faces and necks. The salt water stings their eyes, chafes their skin. They're dehydrated, their lips cracking, their throats dry. The ocean, so beautiful from the boat, is now a prison. Every ripple, every shadow beneath the surface becomes a threat. The Great Barrier Reef is home to sharks, tiger sharks, white-tip reef sharks, even the occasional great white. There are jellyfish too, their stings like fire, and the blue-ringed octopus, small but deadly. Tom and Eileen know this, but they push the thoughts away, focusing on survival. They talk to each other, their voices hoarse, trying to keep their spirits up. "We've been through worse," Tom might say, squeezing Eileen's hand. "We'll make it. But as the sun begins to dip, casting long shadows across the water, doubt creeps in. Night falls and the ocean changes. The stars are blinding, a cruel mockery of the beauty they came to see. The water grows colder, seeping into their wetsuits, chilling their bones. They're exhausted, their muscles aching from hours of treading water. The current pulls at them, dragging them further from the reef, deeper into the coral sea. Strange sounds echo around them. Clicks, hums, the distant splash of something breaking the surface. Their dive slate, a small plastic board, becomes their only voice. In the dim light of a waterproof flashlight, they scratch out a message, their hands trembling. Monday, Jan 26, 1998, 08 a.m. To anyone who can help us, we have been abandoned on Agincourt Reef by MV Outer Edge 25, Jan 1998, 3 p.m. Please help to rescue us before we die. Help! The words are desperate, a plea to a world that can't hear them. They tug the slate into Eileen's vest, hoping it will be found. I've read that message 100 times, and it breaks me every time. It's proof they survived the first night, clinging to each other, to hope, to the belief that rescue was coming. But no one was coming. Back on the outer edge, the crew docked in Port Douglas, the passengers dispersed, and life went on. The next day, January 26th, another group boarded the boat, diving at the same reef. A crew member found 2 weight belts on the ocean floor. A bonus find, they called it, oblivious to the tragedy unfolding miles away. It wasn't until January 27th, 2 days after the dive, that Nairn noticed a bag on the boat, Tom and Eileen's, containing their wallets, passports, and personal effects. He called the hostel where they were staying, and the truth hit like a tidal wave. They never came back. A massive search began, spanning air and sea, involving 17 aircraft, helicopters, Navy vessels, and civilian divers. The Coral Sea is vast, over 1.8 million square miles, and finding 2 people in its depths is like searching for a needle in a haystack. The search lasted 3 days, then 5, but found nothing. No bodies, no signs of life. On February 5th, Tom's buoyancy vest washed ashore 100 kilometers north of Port Douglas, followed by Eileen's wetsuit, torn at the buttocks and armpits, likely from coral. Barnacle growth confirmed it had been in the water since January. Over the weeks, more gear appeared. Dive jackets with their names, air tanks, one of Eileen's fins. None showed signs of a shark attack. No blood, no bite marks. Experts later speculated the couple succumbed to dehydration and delirium, shedding their gear in a haze of exhaustion, sinking into the depths or falling prey to the sea's predators. But the dive slate, found 6 months later by a fisherman 160 kilometers away, is what haunts me most. It's a snapshot of their final hours, a cry for help that went unanswered. I imagine them writing it, their fingers numb, their bodies failing. Did they see the dawn that morning, the sky turning pink as they floated, tethered together? Did they whisper to each other, promising to hold on? Or had fear taken over, the ocean's vastness swallowing their hope? The slate suggests they were alive at 8 o'clock a.m. on January 26th, nearly 17 hours after being abandoned. How long did they last after that? A day? 2? The most likely theory, supported by Eileen's father, John Haynes, is that they became disoriented, dehydrated, and drowned, their bodies lost to the sea. Others speculate sharks, though the gear's condition makes this less likely. The ocean doesn't give up its secrets easily. Theories swirled in the aftermath, each one darker than the last. Some suggested the Lonegans staged their disappearance, slipping away to start a new life. But their bank accounts remained untouched. their insurance policies unclaimed. Others pointed to diary entries found in their hostel. Tom wrote of wanting a quick and peaceful death, while Eileen mentioned his death wish, saying she'd stay with him no matter what. The media seized on this, spinning tales of suicide or murder-suicide, but their families dismissed it, calling the entries out of context. Tom and Eileen were devout Catholics, idealistic, with plans to settle in Hawaii. They weren't running from life, they were embracing it. The Outer Edge crew faced scrutiny. Nairn was tried for manslaughter in 1999, but acquitted, the jury finding the mistake was collective, not his alone. The company pleaded guilty to negligence, paid a fine, and shut down. The incident rocked Queensland's dive industry, worth billions, leading to stricter regulations, mandatory headcounts, diver logs, and identification checks. But for Tom and Eileen's families, it was too late. Their grief was compounded by the film Open Water, released in 2003, which dramatized the couple's fate with a fictionalized shark attack. Eileen's mother, Kathy Haynes, spoke out in 2018, saying she held no ill will toward Australia, but wished the film hadn't reopened old wounds. I keep coming back to the ocean, to what it must have felt like to be so utterly alone. The Great Barrier Reef is a wonder, but it's also a predator's playground, a place where beauty masks danger. I imagine Tom and Eileen in those final moments, their strength fading, the water closing over them. Did they see the boat's wake in the distance, too far to reach? Did they hear the hum of a shark circling below, or feel the sting of jellyfish brushing their skin? Or was it quieter, a slow surrender to the sea's embrace? The not knowing is what makes this story so terrifying. It's not just the horror of being abandoned, it's the vastness of the unknown. The way the ocean swallowed them whole, leaving only fragments and questions. I've been to the ocean since learning their story, stood on a beach at night, staring at the waves. It's different now. The water feels alive, watchful, like it's hiding something. I think about Tom and Eileen every time, about the slate, about the words, "Please help us before we die." I wonder if their spirits are still out there, tethered together, drifting in the currents of the Coral Sea. If you're watching this, if you're ever tempted to dive the Great Barrier Reef, check the head count yourself. Trust your instincts, because the ocean doesn't care who you are. It takes what it wants, and sometimes it never gives it back. This is Lost in the Ocean, the scuba divers left behind, and it's a reminder that some nightmares are real, and some endings are written in water, never to be read.